Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the super high-stakes world of private equity. We're going to unravel one of the biggest secrets behind those massive headline-grabbing deals. It all comes down to this really powerful tool that works just like a financial multiplier.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a bit of a puzzle. Imagine this. You've got your eye on a company, and the price tag is a cool $100 million. Problem is, you've only got $20 million of your own cash. How in the world do you make that deal happen? I mean, it sounds pretty much impossible, right?
Well, not only is it possible, but what if I told you that by solving this puzzle, you could walk away with a $50 million profit? That's on your original $20 million investment. Pretty wild. So you interested? Let's break down exactly how it's done.
All right, let's tackle that $100 million question. We are about to unlock the secret ingredient that private equity firms use all the time to make these enormous acquisitions a reality.
And that secret ingredient is the leveraged buyout, or LBO for short. This right here is the core strategy. It's the financial engine that powers so much of the private equity world. You hear this term thrown around a lot, but what does it actually mean?
So here's the absolute key. An LBO is when a firm buys a company using a whole lot of borrowed money. But, and this is the genius, or maybe the audacity of it all, the loan isn't secured by the private equity firm's own stuff. No way. It's secured by the assets and the cash flow of the very company they are buying. It's kind of like buying a house and using the house itself as the collateral for the mortgage you took out to buy it.
Let's just walk through this in 3 really simple steps. First, the private equity firm puts in its own cash. In our example, that's the $20 million. Step 2, they go to banks and other lenders and borrow the rest, a much, much bigger pile of money, $80 million. And third, and this is the kicker, that new $80 million debt, it gets placed right onto the books of the company they just bought.
Now you might be asking, why go through all this trouble? I mean, why take on so much debt? Well, it turns out there are 4 huge payoffs, and they really explain why PE firms are so in love with this strategy.
Okay, the math here shows the #1 reason: amplifying returns. Just think about it. You buy the company for $100 million, and later you sell it for $150 million. Now the company's value went up by 50%. That's good, but because you only put in $20 million of your own money, that $50 million profit represents a massive 250% return on your investment. That is the incredible power of the multiplier effect.
But wait, the benefits don't stop there. Leverage lets these firms buy way bigger companies than they could ever afford with their own cash. Plus, the interest they have to pay on all that debt, it's usually tax-deductible, which frees up even more cash. And finally, having to make those huge debt payments forces a company's management to become incredibly efficient. Every single dollar counts. This, by the way, is why the best LBO targets are often mature businesses with really stable, predictable cash flows. You have to be sure you can make those debt payments month after month.
But of course, there's no such thing as a free lunch in finance. Using this much debt is incredibly high stakes, because that powerful multiplier we were just celebrating, yeah, it can also work in reverse. And when it does, the consequences can be absolutely devastating.
Which, leads to the obvious question. What happens when the plan just doesn't work out? What if the economy takes a nosedive, or the company's performance starts to slip? And this is where you see the crucial trade-off. Just as leverage juices your gains on the way up, it absolutely crushes you with amplified risk on the way down. If that company starts to struggle and can't make its debt payments, it can default. And in that situation, the lenders, the banks, they get paid first. That means the private equity investors can see their entire initial investment, that whole $20 million, completely wiped out, gone. So in the end, it's pretty clear that leverage is a double-edged sword. It's the tool that makes these enormous returns and massive acquisitions possible, but it also introduces a huge, huge amount of financial risk. This is the fundamental trade-off, right at the very heart of the private equity model.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. We talked about how the pressure of all that debt can drive financial discipline and make a company more efficient. So here's the question: is that a feature, a positive force that actually makes companies stronger? Or is it a bug, a relentless pressure that might stifle innovation and sacrifice long-term growth for short-term cash? That's something worth chewing on. Thanks for joining me.